Hey you guys, so basically I wanted to make a video and share my experience at Jackson Memorial Hospital with my doctor, Janice Moscoso. This is my second child, and I feel like I have to share my story in case you're a couple weeks pregnant and you're looking for a doctor to go to. And our pregnancies are different. Some are high risk, some are low risk. Me being that my pregnancy was actually high risk, and I just want to give a warning to whoever else feels like they want to go to Jackson or go to Janice Moscoso as their OB/GYN. Personally, my experience with her was absolutely horrible. I say this because from the very beginning, I thought she was super nice. I was like, I can't go wrong going to this doctor. She looks caring. She looks like she actually cares about me, my baby. And I feel like she'll be a great doctor. I come in the beginning and she's like, oh, hi, you look so beautiful. I like your purse. I like your dress. This is like superficial stuff from me to be like, oh, she's so nice. I'm not really thinking about the lack of care that I'm going to get throughout my pregnancy with this lady. Is she nice? Yes. That's it. I came in, and initially when I first did my test, I was not anemic. My iron was perfect, but as the pregnancy started to develop more and more and more, I realized that I was becoming anemic. And I wouldn't have known that I was actually anemic until I went to my WIC. And when I went to my WIC, they were like, oh, do you know that your iron is really low? They were like, your iron is at 8.4. So that's when I go to her and I let her know, like, oh, hi, my iron is low. What can I do about this? Can you prescribe me some kind of medicine or anything of that nature? And she was like, yeah. She's like, I can prescribe you iron pills, but she was like, but they're gonna make you sick. And I was like, okay. They had already prescribed me iron pills somewhere else when I went to the hospital for the low iron, so she was already behind on that. And anytime that I would tell her, oh, check this, check that, she'll be like, oh, just go to the hospital. They'll check you out in the hospital. So I went ahead, and every time that I saw a problem, I would go get checked out at the hospital. But yeah, what else happened? Let me tell you, at first, to have a high risk pregnancy, she would only see me every 6 weeks. So it was every 6 weeks that she would see me. I got my pregnancy at, I started the first day that I went, I was 15 weeks.
I need a toothbrush.
Go under the sink, there's toothbrushes there. So, yeah, for the first couple weeks that I went, I was 15 weeks, and then I told her, oh, like, they gave me an off due date, and I'm like, no, that's not my due date. I know when my due date is, because I was actually calculating the days to get pregnant, because I was actually trying to conceive. So I was telling her from the beginning, no, this is not right. This is not right. Like, my due date, it can't be right. And she's like, oh, your due date is fine. Like, I do this all the time. Your due date is fine. Don't worry. My due date was actually 5 weeks ahead of time. And I knew it because, like I said, I was calculating my due dates from the very beginning. So I knew exactly when this happened, when that happened. I know exactly when my due date was supposed to be and all that. And I'm prone to go overdue on my due dates because I had her when I was like 42 weeks or something. And she was actually at 8 pound 14 ounces, so she was almost 9 pounds. And I know for sure that I was overdue with her because I wasn't in a rush. Like with him, I was in a rush. I was like, I need him to get out ASAP. But whatever. And then throughout my pregnancy, I was like, I feel something there. She would not check me. She only listened to the heartbeat. The ultrasounds were 10-minute long, and she promised me a 3D ultrasound that I never got. When I told her about it, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no, girl, don't tell me I'm so sorry because I wait 6 to 4 weeks to see my baby, and then when I go in the ultrasound, you're gonna give me a 10-minute ultrasound and then tell me, oh my god, he has so much hair. And the only picture that I got was a picture of his hair. Now you tell me if that's fair. No, that's not fair because I had to wait 4 to 5 weeks to even get a picture of his hair. Like, no. And then the ultrasound was super quick, and it literally felt rushed. That was one thing. The other thing was that I told her, I was like, I feel really uncomfortable. I told her, I think my baby is bigger. I went to the ER and they were like, yeah, your baby's bigger. Like, you need to tell your doctor that your due date is wrong. And then I told her, and she's like, no, your due date is fine. And she told me, oh, don't worry, because your stomach doesn't even look that big. There's no 8-pound baby in there. That's what she told me. There's no 8-pound baby in there. How do you know? You wouldn't even know, because when you do the ultrasounds, you're barely measuring the baby and you're seeing me every 5-6 weeks, and you know that my pregnancy is high risk, so you should actually be seeing me every 2 to 3 weeks, which she wasn't. And that really did it for me. Like, I really felt neglected my whole pregnancy with her. I felt extremely neglected. I felt like anything could have gone wrong, and I had never had a C-section in my life. Because of her negligence and her telling me that my baby doesn't even look like it was 8 pounds at 38 weeks, when my baby was actually born 9 pounds and like almost 10 ounces, and she was telling me that I didn't even look like I had an 8-pound baby, and my stomach was huge. I had to have an emergency C-section because he was too big and he was overdue. And every time that I had to try to push, his heartbeat kept dropping. Because this is another thing, do not go to Jackson Memorial Hospital because they induced my labor totally wrong. I went because I felt like his heartbeat was dropping already initially because he was moving less. So I went to go get checked out in the emergency room, and that's when they were like, oh, can you get induced? Can you stay to get induced? They were like, the lady was like, I'm scared to tell you this, but in the ultrasound, the baby looks really big. And I was like, I already knew he was big because you can feel it, and I felt like he was already really big. So, okay, that's fine. I'm like, that's fine. I was like, yeah, I was staying at induced because regardless, I was coming to the hospital 3 days after to get induced, but I had just went that day because I was like, my baby is not moving that much, so I need to go see what is going on. So, yeah, so I went to go see him, and you're getting induced. I'm like, that's fine. They're like, we're gonna start the induction. She did not show up. That lady did not show up, not once, when I'm thinking that she was supposed to be the one giving birth to my baby, since she's the one who's supposed to know all my history and all my stuff. But no, she did not show up at all. And they started my induction. They started with the Foley balloon. The balloon I was dilated to 1 centimeter. They put the balloon, and I ended up going up to 3 centimeters dilated. After I was 3 centimeters dilated, my water broke. So they put the balloon and my water broke. So now my water's broke. I'm only 3 centimeters, and homie right here, is just chilling, not even trying to push. So then they start the Pitocin, and they're like, oh, we're going to 2, we're going 4. And then when they start going up and up and up and up and up and up and up on the Pitocin, his heartbeat started dropping. So now I'm looking at the dash, and the nurses are coming in and out the nurses are coming in and out the room, in and out the room, in and out the room, looking at his heartbeat. There goes his heartbeat to 86, 89, 100. And I'm like, I'm freaking out because I'm looking at it, I'm like, he doesn't want the Pitocin. He's running out of water. They put a catheter to put water in my uterus because he didn't have any water, and his heartbeat is dropping. And they're like, oh, the only thing we have to do now is a C-section. Like, you have to get a C-section. And I'm over here bawling, crying, because I'm like, the only thing that I didn't want in the whole world was to get a C-section, and now I'm going to have to get a C-section. Exactly what I did not want. So, never mind that. There, they rushed me to the hospital, and I had a C-section, and then, boom, he's here. He was 9 pounds and 6 ounces. But still, I feel like if she wouldn't have been so negligent, like, and she would have tended more to my pregnancy, and she would have paid attention that he was an oversized baby, she could have scheduled me to get induced earlier than that, and I would have been able to give birth naturally to my child like I wanted. So I just felt like I had to say this message for whoever is going to go to her or is going to give birth at Jackson. If you have any other, like, if you have another chance to go somewhere else, I really, really, really recommend you to go anywhere but there. Because they just really don't care. They have so many people coming in and out, like, and there's so many people who I've heard had similar stories like me, like emergency C-sections or just, like, not that much care. And I feel like, just to avoid it, don't go there, don't go to her, and you'll be okay.